Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. This is something that I wanted to announce for quite a while now. This took a very long time to be able to create. I did not have a team of people doing this with me. I'm going to be releasing my collection of 10,000 NFTs. You're actually the first people to ever hear about this. It's been a long time coming. It's been a lot of work. I didn't realize how much actually went into making 10,000 pieces of art. This is going to be dropping in exactly 9 days on the 20th of October. I'm actually really excited about it. It's kind of all that I can think about at the moment. I teased this, I think, a while before when I said I had something really big coming. Yeah, I wanted to really, I know it sounds crazy, but I really wanted to challenge myself and make 10,000 pieces of art. And I did it. So, for those of you who want to have a look, there's going to be a link in the description below. There's going to be a link on Twitter, on Instagram, and on my Facebook TMI page as well. I'm very, very excited about this. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into it. At the moment, we're having a bit of an echo from the last week as well when it comes to the prices within the cryptocurrency markets. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Bitcoin to 60,000 ? Whales accumulating. It continues amid a new 5-month high. A lot of the news right now, and Bitcoin is once again taking up the entire spotlight, but it's once again Bitcoin. I know a lot of people may not care for Bitcoin, but you have to still understand that Bitcoin is the actual market. If Bitcoin collapses, everything else goes with it. We've had the news at least since midweek last week, especially as Bitcoin passed by $49,000, $51,000, $53,000, and $55,000, that Bitcoin is going to hit $60,000. This is significant because it is a smidge away from its previous all-time high. And usually what we see is if Bitcoin passes by its previous all-time high, this usually goes for any coin, kind of like a fervor or a huge amount of energy builds within the market without even people really realizing it, as people are mentally trying to get Bitcoin past that point, because once we pass by that point, we logically know that once again, sky's the limit and prices begin to really fly higher. This was the most popular news story of the day. We keep seeing that whale addresses are buying an enormous amount of Bitcoin every single day. It says Bitcoin long-term holder supply shock hits new high, signaling new trajectory for Bitcoin bulls. We've had news that whales have been accumulating for I can't even remember how long. I think a lot of people didn't pay attention to it. A lot of people don't, or maybe simply don't it's not everyone, I know that much. But a lot of people are simply not really paying a huge amount of attention to exactly how much Bitcoin is floating around out there. This is why we've also had news before of supply shock news for Ethereum. These are being quickly taken off the market by everyday people, by institutions, by banks. You kind of name it. Entire countries now at this point as well. There's also some country news in this video as well. When we finally get to that point where Bitcoin is actually going up, I think a lot of people are going to be once again very shocked at how little Bitcoin is actually left on cryptocurrency exchanges. You can usually see, if you're on a cryptocurrency exchange, you can normally see like the buy and sell order. So you see that there's activity, but we are usually never given a direct insight unless you dig further into exactly how much Bitcoin a cryptocurrency exchange has left on it. We even had the news, this was sometime last week, maybe the beginning of last week. I think only 16% of all Ethereum in existence is actually left on cryptocurrency exchanges. That means the other 84% is gone. It's just not there. Like, that's a huge, so you kind of get the idea, especially when you actually see the actual price, like movements through the networks and how much money is being swapped back and forth or simply swapped in one direction. It kind of becomes a bit more evident. It says Bitcoin continues explosion to 60,000 amid a whale buying spree. The technical charts are extremely bullish for Bitcoin. Here's what you must know. It's basically that everything is kind of green. And I don't mean even price-wise. I mean all the negative news that we had 2-3 weeks ago about the entire China fiasco has basically disappeared. A lot of people who had their mining equipment shut off, the major companies, simply announced a day after or the day before, hey, we're moving to another country anyway. These machines have already been shipped. We know that more on the way. We know that the network is extremely healthy. Bitcoin hasn't gotten any slower than it's always been. We know that Bitcoin is 3 transactions per second, and that is seemingly just fine for the network. We have, I don't know if I have it in here either. Over the weekend, there was news of the NFT layer on top of Bitcoin is now working. I think there are 3 projects on top of it or something like that. There's also the other smart contract news. The other things are going to be put on top of it. There's also Taproot and Schnorr, which I think are also upgrades that are coming at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, which are going to allow for more private transactions. Like, everything is completely good. There's no reason, once again, why we are below $100,000. It's just more of a, this is coordinatedly being done by whales, because they know that if they keep prices relatively stagnant, they can buy up as much as they want while other people are paying attention to other coins. I'm just trying to give you an insight into exactly how really big money is thinking right now so that you're not left behind. On top of that, other price news was almost non-existent. It says XRP on the cusp of a breakout? Question mark. Sentiment looks at on-chain metrics of 6 largest crypto asset. This was the only XRP news. There was one article about Dogecoin, and that article was asking or saying or implying, could Dogecoin 10x from here, because Shiba Inu had done a 400x. The idea being they believe that Shiba Inu was inferior to Dogecoin, and therefore if they can do a 400x, well, by golly, we can do a 10x from where, kind of that idea. There was even Ethereum there was no Ethereum price news. There was no Cardano price news. It was simply focusing around Bitcoin. We're also seeing right now as well, I don't have the actual chart here, but you'll be able to see it in a couple seconds. What we saw around February, March, April, somewhere around that time. Remember when a lot of the news was altcoin season, when alt season, that kind of thing really floating around. And it was because we kept on seeing Bitcoin as the only coin that was going up steadily 2, 3, 4% every single day. The other coins were either in red or the Satoshi prices were in red. This is exactly what we're seeing right now once again. And the precursor to that was, the slow movement up, and then eventually Bitcoin skyrocketing and everything else kind of following. So it even looks like Bitcoin's, once again, gravitational force is quite strong right now, that it's actually absorbing as much money as possible so we can get that movement up, because when Bitcoin does skyrocket, everything else will. But at the moment, everyone is really, I guess, maybe pushing efforts together to try to make sure that that actually happens. I think this is also, this can also be, I guess, into price news as well. It says the value settled on the Bitcoin network has been surging, reaching a new daily all-time high last week. Bitcoin's daily settlement value hit an all-time high on the 6th of October of $31 billion worth of transactions being settled on chain just using the Bitcoin network. The record high marks an increase in network daily sentiment volume of approximately 40 times since the beginning of last year. I don't know if you've ever, hopefully you have. When I do a weekend videos of news I missed, at the end of the video, I actually show the transactions that are happening through the Bitcoin network. So you can kind of see how much money is flowing through it. And sometimes, you see normal transactions of a couple thousand, 29,000, what have you. But the odd transaction will pop through where it's like $148 million, and these really big things start flowing through all the time. They're whales moving huge amounts of money. And while we cannot tell exactly where they're going explicitly or who owns them, you can normally see a lot of the times that these transactions are going to some of the biggest wallets that already exist, and the amount of Bitcoin in them continues to rapidly increase. And the more, this is $6 million. Like, it's really, I mean, if you sit here and watch it, if you really have time on your hands one day, sit here for like 5 minutes and watch the transactions going through, because sometimes you will see things like $10 right here. Other times it's really huge amounts, and then we end up getting like whale news, and we figure out that these huge wallets are accumulating. We also had news in the middle of summer, even as prices were dropping. I don't know why I air quoted there. That even even wallets with more than one Bitcoin were rapidly accumulating 40 million, rapidly accumulating, trying to get to 2 Bitcoin. Addresses that had around 5 were building up more and more to trying to get to 10. The ones that had 10 were trying to buy 1 Bitcoin per day. So yeah, that's all the price news, at least for the moment. There was no other coin. I'm telling you, it was, we keep seeing these, like, I guess, swings of or flow of like news. And normally it's like this altcoin, Ethereum, this altcoin, Bitcoin. It's been Bitcoin centric for a while now, and I guess everyone is really holding their breath just so we can get past that $63,000. I was asking people on Twitter when they thought if last night Bitcoin was going to move up to 60,000 because it was really like pushing upward. A lot of people actually really said Wednesday. For some reason, that was kind of the time frame that everyone was like, no, Wednesday. And I was like, okay, all right. Anyway, that's all the price news. And yeah, let's move on. By the end of next year, at least 5 countries will have accepted Bitcoin as legal tender. This was said by the CEO of BitMEX. He cited three key reasons. He cited 3 key reasons why he arrived at this conclusion. He said developing countries will jump into crypto in 2022. The CEO of BitMEX, Alex Hupta, has predicted that developing countries will lead the way in Bitcoin adoption. He said, my prediction is that by the end of next year, we'll have at least 5 countries that accept Bitcoin as legal tender. All of them will be developing countries. Here's why I think developing countries will jump into crypto. This isn't a prediction. No, this is my opinion. Based off of the news that we've had over the last 2 to 3 years, I think a lot of the predictions that we're seeing are actual conversations that have gone on. I do not know of these conversations. I cannot tell you if these conversations have actually taken place, but it's more of I'm putting 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 together. And what we've seen is that there have been for a while a number of countries who have been interested in accepting cryptocurrencies as legal tender or using it for some sort of other way. The first ones being back in 2018 or 2019 when the 3 countries went to the International Monetary Fund, and we got wind of these 3 countries going to the IMF, who basically said our currency is garbage. We need Bitcoin to start basing things on top of. And I think the first thing they wanted to do was bonds, which was huge. That meant that the government was trying to buy Bitcoin to issue government bonds based off of Bitcoin. The other second part is you have to understand that the El Salvador thing was not a one-trick pony, as the saying goes. You have to understand and believe and understand even more so that the highest ranking people of these companies, it doesn't matter, BitMEX, Binance, so-and-so, these people are traveling around the world to have discussions with world leaders, whether it be about regulation or whether it be about whatever. They're also having discussions about, hey, you help me, I help you kind of thing. For those of you who were not here in 2019, pretty sure that was it, when Facebook announced that they were going to be launching their own cryptocurrency, which is not a cryptocurrency at all, just a digital currency that's based off of, similarly to the US dollar. We started getting reports, I think during that course of that week. Not only had they created a coalition of 30 different companies, they had like a ring where they showed all the different companies who had joined on before this was even announced. They also had, we had word that they had partnered, air quotes, partnered with a couple of countries who were basically trying to get into it early. And the idea was that Facebook, this is why the congressional, senatorial, Australian, everything had such a problem with this, because Facebook allegedly, so we heard in the news, we don't know, had gone to a number of countries to basically talk to them and basically say, hey, we see that you are really in debt. If you use our currency, which is going to be a stable currency based near the US dollar, we will give you tons of money to pay off your debt, but you use this currency. In the long run, what does that make Facebook? That makes them the bank of that country. And we have no idea how many countries they were actually discussing this with. So we can only assume that if El Salvador has been doing good monetarily with the amount of Bitcoin that they've been mining, that there's also, I think, some news about that somewhere as well. Other countries who are also not doing well or simply want an extra leg up, you contact these people and say, what can we do? How do we start mining? How do we get into this business? We may not feel comfortable with using Bitcoin as legal tender, but can we start accumulating, 1,000 Bitcoin every 3 or 4 months? So these, so when I saw this, I don't know if the CEO has had conversations with them, but you simply don't first of all, you don't throw out something like that and simply say, sure. 5 by next year, we'll definitely be, using Bitcoin. I think we've already seen, even though El Salvador is not a large country, it is a gigantic domino. The first one is always going to be the largest because other people are definitely paying attention. You're going to have at least 15 other countries who are like, we might need to do what they're doing. They're paying very close attention to El Salvador. If they trip, if they stumble, if something seemingly doesn't go right for them. But as of right now, they're making a huge portion of money. Their mining operations are expected to give them billions of dollars over the course of every single year. So, yeah. What was the other news that we had about some other countries? This was about a year or something ago. I had it in my head and then it disappeared. It was something else about countries who seemed interested in crypto, but I think the IMF also told them something. I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, this was quite popular news. I assume it won't really make the rounds. I've noticed that the news that really hits the hardest, if you will, for the other YouTube channels is like these technical analysis, price prediction kind of videos, which is usually all that they upload. But yeah, this is the beginning of it. This is what we've waited for since 2009, 2010, 2011. These were all like, dreams, if you will, like countries adopting Bitcoin, countries using it, issuing other things on top of Bitcoin, writing laws on top of Bitcoin. It's all going to happen, and we're witnessing it right in front of our eyes, but a lot of people still aren't paying attention. Anyway, that's the potentially by next year, 5 countries will be using Bitcoin as legal tender news. And let's move on. On top of that as well, in news that I think people were really trying to make news, this happened multiple times, I think, this video. Things keep happening, of course, obviously, and the amount of energy behind it is like, there was more energy behind this news story than there was about actual countries adopting Bitcoin. Senator Cynthia Lummis has backed her support for cryptocurrencies by increasing her Bitcoin holdings. Her latest purchase in August saw her purchase between $50,000 to $100,000 worth of Bitcoin through a periodic transaction report filed in conjunction with the rules. It was disclosed that Senator Lummis has increased her Bitcoin holdings through her latest purchase. The buy was effectuated through a U.S. Bitcoin exchange, River Financial, on the 16th of August and is valued between $50,000 to $100,000 US dollars. The filing was done outside the 45-day window provided by the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act, or the STOCK Act. Basically, there are things in many countries. It's not just within the US. It's for actual transparency. There are a lot of people who do run countries or are elite in some sort of way, who are in these, basically we found out many moons ago that a lot of people will sometimes do things in their own interest but not kind of tell other people. So it is usually required in many countries that if you are going to be making a sizable investment in something, let the public know, as these are public servants, if you will. Yeah, so the news is that Cynthia Lummis purchased around 1 or 2 Bitcoin sometime a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago, around whatever time. Yeah, this will only have one tab of it here because it's cool that this is news, but no one should really be surprised. Cynthia Lummis has been a crypto, I'll use the word advocate. She seems to really like Bitcoin. So is anyone surprised that she, 1, had the money, and 2, also purchased 2 Bitcoin? No. This is happening all the time. And once again, even keep this in mind. Cynthia Lummis is not a prominent person in cryptocurrency news. We can imagine that the people who are actually prominent in the cryptocurrency news space are probably also purchasing around 1 to 2 Bitcoin all the time. Where do you think these mega transactions are going to? So yeah, cool. And it says she's stacking sats. No. She's stacking actual entire Bitcoin. That's not what the idea of stacking sats is, if you are buying 2 million Satoshis or maybe even 98 million Satoshis, really close to an entire Bitcoin. But when you hit a Bitcoin, 100 million Satoshis, you have bought a Bitcoin. You are not stacking sats anymore. So anyway, good job for her. I assume she's going to continue on her trajectory of, trying to accumulate the most finite asset on the planet. But alas, yeah, let's move on. Also in, this is news I missed a bit, but it was still quite popular. Sri Lanka has joined the Global Committee Adoption Drive after setting up a committee for exploring and implementing blockchain and crypto mining technologies. A letter shared on the 8th of October by Sri Lanka's Director General of Government Information, Mohan Samarayake, show that authorities have approved a recent proposal that aims to attract investors or investments, same exact thing, into the country's blockchain and cryptocurrency initiatives. According to the director, the Sri Lankan authorities have identified the need to develop an integrated system with digital banking, blockchain, and cryptocurrency mining technology as a means to stay on par with global partners in international markets, he said. This committee will be mandated to study the regulations and initiatives of other countries such as Dubai, Malaysia, Philippines, the European Union, and Singapore, etc., and propose a suitable framework for Sri Lanka. So, like I said, this is happening everywhere. For some reason, I don't understand why this news isn't more popular. I understand profits. Believe me, I've been in the cryptocurrency space for a very long time. I understand the idea of wanting to make a profit. But sometimes this news usually should supersede, go above all the other news, because I don't think people really understand what financial freedom in its entirety is going to mean when other countries are simply using Bitcoin. When you can go anywhere you want and use Bitcoin or Ether or Dogecoin, and we have cross-chain interoperability, and governments are mining, like what it means for the stability of our markets when you have a country, multiple countries who are openly mining Bitcoin. It's an entire anyway. So yeah. Sri Lanka is trying to get into the space. We can only assume that they weren't talking to themselves in a room with 16 people. They probably had some of the largest people in the cryptocurrency space in that room with them to figure out how they can also start mining crypto, which generally means that crypto will not be banned in that country, and they're trying to figure out a way to make it legal so that they can also have these payments going through their countries. I think what's going to really shock a lot of people, or maybe not, who knows, is when countries start using the Lightning Network and they start making their own Lightning nodes. Once again, the idea being, if you have a Lightning node and every transaction that goes through gives you 1 Satoshi per transaction, if this becomes the main way to use Bitcoin in the future, and you have a Bitcoin node and every day you have 10,000 transactions flowing through your thing just through one channel, well, that's $10,000 that you made. What happens when a country has 5,000 channels? And every transaction, you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, it's all coming. It's right in front of us. So really hope you're paying attention to all of this. On top of that as well, in news that people also tried to make news, and I prithee, please stop. It says Poloniex will stop service for mainland China users. Right, because crypto has been banned in China again. There's a lot of news over the course of the weekend, and I even saw some today as well. This is the only one I actually have in this video. This company is stopping something from China, and this is going to not be doing the same exact thing with China. And it's like, yeah, we got it. It's because they also, right. It says breaking: Binance terminates crypto derivatives offerings in South Africa. Also not breaking news. We know that there are a number of countries who simply don't want to participate in our markets or think that they know better than other people when it comes to these markets. And a lot of times, a lot of this news gets thrown around as if Binance itself has been told to stop in these countries, but that's not the case. They're usually told by countries, I think it's 4 at this point, to stop offering crypto derivatives, to stop offering futures, to stop offering options, to stop offering leveraged trades to people in our country. You can still trade cryptocurrency. Your website is still active, but stop offering said service. I think a lot of the Binance news has kind of dwindled. A lot of people were getting a really big kick out of that a couple of weeks ago, where Binance was being told by these countries to stop offering derivatives and other exchanges and other things on their exchanges. And what did I tell you? What exactly did I say? I said this is nothing news. The news is going to be that Binance is going to open up physical locations. You can find the video. Binance is going to open up physical locations, sit down with these people, and write paperwork. They're writing paperwork. They're talking to these countries. They've even come out and said, sure, we'll have physical locations. And we just got news a day or two ago that they're opening up a physical location in the U.S., also in Ireland. And I assume they're going to have one on mainland Europe, if you will, at some point. And I think they're also opening up one in Singapore as well. Not even real news. And on top of that as well, and I think people are just getting bored news. It says how Henry Ford envisioned Bitcoin 100 years ago, a unique energy currency. No. So people are now looking through old words that old people have said from many moons ago. And a lot of people think that Henry Ford might have invented Bitcoin. Once again, I think because people explicitly do not know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, I think they're really, they're, what's the word? It's not digging for gold. It's like, I don't know. I have no idea what people are doing. So have you ever seen, in like the old sci-fi movies from the more so the 60s and 70s, where people had things on their arm and it went beep, boop, 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 like that kind of thing, or they would take out this thing that looked relatively like a tablet. I remember there was an article about 5 or 6 years ago, not in the crypto space, but one that I was actually reading somewhere. And it basically said how these movies predicted the future and how, these people were geniuses because they created these things that we now use in our everyday life. And the actual thing that's happening is that a lot of people who saw these movies were enthralled by them. The idea that one day we would have something similar that we could hold in our hands, and we'd be able to communicate with people around the world, with our family members by, tap of a switch. We have a screen in our hand. How amazing that is. Or we have a watch where we can do all these amazing things. 1% of those people who watched these movies became inventors, became developers, became creators, and they built these things. There are a lot of interviews with people, even the people from Apple. A lot of the stuff that they created, they said, yeah, I remember seeing a movie when I was a kid and I wanted to make something just like it. Getting a little bit off course, but you kind of understand what I'm saying. There were tons of people who imagined at some point in the future that electricity would actually be able to power everything and send communication back and forth. And this is why we had the telegram and the telephone and the fax machine and the TV and all these other things that had telly in front of its name. And that's kind of what it is. So no, Henry Ford did not create or think up Bitcoin. And if he did, it was completely out of left field and had no actual, you understand what I'm saying. This was very popular news today. This is what I'm talking about. It's this kind of really weird stuff like countries. I feel like some of this news is even being created as like a distraction for you in some sort of way. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but doesn't it seem really weird that you have news that all these countries are adopting Bitcoin blockchain, Bitcoin so-and-so, Bitcoin mining? This is happening with Ethereum. Entire countries writing laws on top of Ethereum. The discussion of Dogecoin being able to be used everywhere, XRP being this and that, but the most popular news story ends up being someone from 100 years ago talking about, oh yeah, there's definitely going to be some type of currency on top of electricity. Weird, right? Hope you get what I'm hinting at, but a lot of news in the crypto space is like this. The really weird, odd, not important news, the only word I can find in my head, slow computations up there, ends up being stuff like this. Not saying that he didn't. He might have created himself into an AI. I doubt that, but you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to shut up now. Anyway, yeah, let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, Professor Wally from Gunbot University, and let's move on. Chris, Hakeem Wilkins, Empire Queen, Stake It With Valor, Fudweiser, Mortified, Roman Geba, Bitcoin, Ben Arachno, Dave, Tony Ambroski, The Dealer's Den, Red Plump Tomato, Umnu, Wishniki, The Letter M, Stefan Dirks, Not Brain, Captain Something in the Z-Way, Lay, Crypto, Black Sheep, AJ Cut 5, Speedy655, and Carlos was like, Mobarazi, Jojo, Shawsho, VB Nerd 21, Miguel Grelay, Lauren De Silva, Quotability, Bare Bones Mining, Troy Allgood, Space Casey, The Miracle, Paternoster, Conan, Don't Skip, Leg Day, Snacky, Chan, Tolik, Banana, Suspicious, Agile, and Blockchain, Navarro Williams, David James, Attila the Han, Yasha Hanadi, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Martin Stoyo, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Anima Reader, Bibliophobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Mohamaroni, Massive Ventures in Thailand, Jared Shiner, Wise 9 Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Damien, Setsuna, Richard III, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Nick Manji, Rody, Jim Gardner, Jimmy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller, His Chest, Everyday, and Skips Leg Day. Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Arf Medic 17, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger, Macho Nisa, All Crypto with Lionel, Crayola, Michelle, URL, and Bolero Bastos. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. If you're still here watching the video, write the number 88,888. So 88888 to let me know that you're still there. At the moment, Bitcoin is currently at $56,675. This is what I meant. If you're looking at the screen, Bitcoin is the only thing in green right now. The other prices are in red. It's not a deep red, 1 to 3%, give or take, but the Satoshi values are also in red as well. The focus is mainly being placed on Bitcoin. I assume there's a lot of competition, if you will, floating around. I'm sure that there are people who would love for Bitcoin's price to drop, and there are also people who are like, this is it, let's do this right now. We are finally back over a $1 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. That in itself should be celebrated for weeks on end. $1 trillion is absolutely massive, especially with the news that we had that trillions of dollars is continuously flowing through Bitcoin all the time. Shiba Inu is up by 3% at the moment. I guess a lot of the energy is still there. Anything else? Wow. IOTA is also up by 6%. No IOTA news, but usually something is happening behind the scenes that we will find out later on. Yeah. It's just IOTA, Shiba Inu, and Bitcoin that are currently up right now. Fascinating. And yeah, happy Monday. Let's see exactly where this week takes us. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Have a look at my project. I'm very, very excited about it. It took me a very long time to do this. I have a lot more respect for the other projects out there. It's not easy making 10,000 pieces of art. It's really, it's something. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See